Hello, my name is Nick, and welcome to Watch This Now. The Irishman is Martin Scorsese's latest gangster epic from Netflix, and you can tell with this one, they are just shouting from the rooftops, hey, give us a Best Picture winner, we are legitimate. And this movie is 3.5 damn hours long. Like, my god, they are really going for it here. And you'll be able to enjoy it from the comfort of your own home in just a couple of weeks when this film is streaming on Netflix. But I saw it playing at my local art house theater, my favorite theater, and I said, you know what, I am just gonna march myself down there, plop my behind in one of their super uncomfortable seats, get a case of busted ass for the rest of the day, and get this movie out of the way, because I know myself, and if I wait for it to end up on Netflix, I will watch it in 5-minute chunks for the next 7 years. So I did it. I went to the movies to see a Netflix film, and saw that logo on the big screen for the first time, and you know what? It was cool. But more importantly, this movie is amazing! I went in expecting to just walk around, go to the bathroom as many times as I needed. I was like, it's 3.5 hours. If I gotta do a couple jogging laps up and down the aisleway just to keep the blood pumping, I'm gonna do that. But no, I was glued to the screen from the very beginning, and you know what? I sat there for the entire runtime of this film. I wasn't even trying. My bladder just completely obeyed the film. It was like, no, I guess we gotta watch this. And I have to point this out because this just, I think, really goes to show how good of a film this is overall. I was watching a film the night prior, and I thought, you know what, this is a really technically good film. I get it. I can just slap a 4 out of 5 on it, do a review for it, and call it done. But you know what? That movie really didn't entertain me, and I didn't think it deserved a 4 out of 5. And The Irishman is the perfect example of being able to be such a damn good movie that you cross over to people who are not interested in that material at all and still wow them. Because that's what happened to me. I am not a gangster movie fan. In my opinion, you've seen one, you've seen them all. But hey, I get it. A lot of people like them, and Martin Scorsese sure likes to make them. This film is about Frank Sheeran, played by Robert De Niro, who post-World War II gets involved with the mob and gains this really serious bond with Joe Pesci's character, who pretty much orchestrates Frank's entire mob career for the most part. And things get really interesting when Frank ends up meeting Jimmy Hoffa, played by Al Pacino, who, you know, he was a big deal way back in the day, but I'm 28, so what do I know? The plot is as simple as that, and it's Martin Scorsese's exceptional direction that makes this such a watchable film. It doesn't feel like you're watching any of his other films in his filmography, and even though this really isn't my kind of film, it happened to catch my attention and hold it for a long time. I think The Irishman could appeal to anybody. Anyone can get into this film. Give it a chance, allow yourself to get sucked into the story, and I'm telling you, it will. Some people think the first hour is quite slow. I actually found the first hour of this film really entertaining. I was just absorbed into it and had no problem being there. We see Frank as he begins working with the mob and the characters around him. The second hour is a bit courtroom drama-y as Jimmy Hoffa is introduced. And the third hour is how these characters come together and what the story overall means. The last half hour is a bit of an epilogue that I do have some issues with, but I'll get to that. I grew up in Metro Detroit, and every 3 years there would be some kind of news expose where someone decided they knew where Jimmy Hoffa was buried. You would see some basket case pop up on the news and be like, I know Hoffa is buried on that plot of land. I can smell it. And if anyone has any interest in this type of story, well, you can thank Martin Scorsese for making the most comprehensive film on it. I loved how this film plays. It moves fast, yet at the right pace. I noticed we slowed down at the right moments to let characters have conversations play out as they probably should and would. That was really good. I really enjoyed that. And when we need to get the story going, the film picks up and gets through things without breezing by anything. Now let me start judging it. First off, right off the bat, the production design, the costumes, the hair, the makeup, all of that exceptional. I think the further we get away from certain time periods, the harder it is to emulate them in film. I don't know about you, but sometimes I see a period piece that I just don't think really has the feel down. This film has the feel. Robert De Niro. Wow. Now, I was expecting a really good performance from him because, of course, but what I really loved seeing was the way this character reacted to different things at different times. I didn't feel like I was seeing just this person do the same thing throughout. I felt like Robert De Niro played this person reacting in different scenarios. It's something that I don't think I've seen well enough in any film or TV show all year. I thought it was really incredible, and another reason why I think a lot more movies should be 3.5 hours long, because you get to explore so much more. Joe Pesci is also fantastic. He is subtle throughout the whole film. It gives a really strong performance. I felt like he had this presence every time he was on screen, and I honestly couldn't get enough of him. Like, some people say, actually I'm hearing a lot of people say, like, he's menacing. There's even this kind of running gag throughout the film where one of Frank's daughters just like cannot stand Joe Pesci's character. But I was like, oh, what a nice guy. He just orders hits all the time. I mean, Al Pacino, who I haven't seen in a while and anything, is just so good here. So good. He has lots of great moments. And oh my god, the banter, the back and forth, the chemistry between Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. I'm not someone that, follows all of their movies and whatever, and I know there are a lot of people that just want to see the two of them on screen in this type of film. I wasn't even there for that. If anything, I was a little turned off, like, oh, it's gonna be Scorsese, De Niro, Pacino, ba-ba. But, oh my god, I gotta check myself before I wreck myself, because this is the kind of combination any cinephile will be into. You'd think they'd made a million movies together, the way this all plays. It is just so smooth and entertaining. That's what I really have to put out there, is how entertaining this film is. That's what gripped me. Even though this is material that I don't really care for, I don't care about watching a bunch of old dudes talk about crime and shit. Like, I just don't need it. Yet this movie makes what I would normally consider mundane incredibly entertaining. As opposed to, say, getting like a murder montage to show us how experienced Frank is at killing, we get a montage where he's disposing of weapons that he's used from hits. And I like that. We got what we needed to out of this without going to any sort of extreme. This film is so restrained in the way that it tells its story, but more refined, I should say. This is such a solid overall look at one man's life who happens to be involved in some really horrible things. There's no glorification here. You're like, damn, this has gotta be a tough life to live. But the film does have some flaws, so let me please get them out. I think it's interesting that this is Scorsese's like ultimate counter to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, yet it's utilizing technology advanced by the MCU. And of course we're talking about the de-aging technology that was used on the main stars to make them look at any age they needed to throughout the film. But I have to point out that there were two different times throughout the film where, and I was admiring the technology, I was just looking at some shots and was like, damn, they did such a good job of just bringing them back. And immediately after I would have that moment of thinking that the technology usage was seamless, I would get a shot that was just a little off, and I'd be like, eh. Like, I think they sometimes manage to get the face right without fully getting the movement properly. I'm assuming this has got to be some really tough stuff to do, and they did a great job. But there's several moments, but there's one moment I remembered as far as super early in the movie one, where Joe Pesci is standing by a car, and just there's some quick movement where it made me go, oh, this is not that great. For the most part, I think it looks really good, but I do have to bring this up because it's just something that I find interesting, and I think it's going to be a conversation we're having in the entertainment realm, and everyone's going to be talking about it, what works for us. And I just think it's really interesting that so many people want to use this technology to sort of just keep people young, as opposed to, say, doing what movies used to do, which was cast a younger person to play that younger self. I mean, some movies still do, but now this technology seems to be picking up so much traction. We're resurrecting James Dean for some stupid movie that does not need James Dean's holographic image. It makes no sense. I don't understand. I will not get so caught up on that, but I have to point out Robert De Niro won his first Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor playing the younger version of Marlon Brando in The Godfather Part 2. I mean, are we missing out on some maybe great young actor that could have played a young Frank? Maybe not, maybe not. I do like the way the technology was used for this film in particular. I do like that we stick with Pacino and De Niro and Pesci for the entire long runtime of this film, but I do have to say the technology can only do so much, and there are a couple of moments when you can just tell, well, we might be able to make these guys look younger. There's no way we're going to be able to just give them the physical prowess of a younger man, and there are a couple moments where you can tell body double is used, or someone's just really not able to physically perform as much as the film calls for it, and that's where I kind of get a little like, we gotta talk about this, you know? There are pros and cons, like this movie. Pros and cons. Pro, all the male actors are great. Con, there are almost no female actors in this movie at all. Anna Paquin plays one of the daughters as the older version of her. However, she has like no lines, and all of a sudden she's kind of introduced. Obviously, we know the younger version of her, but as an adult, she's just sort of thrown at the audience like, oh, hey, you're supposed to care about this subplot now. And I just didn't. And I found that to be really unfortunate because I thought there could have been something done that would have been really good for the story if maybe there were more women doing things. Like the closest we get to a strong woman in this film is one of the wives is like mob royalty, she's called. That's it. That's all we got. This is a long movie, so there's a lot to talk about, but I don't want to be speaking for an entire 3.5 hours myself, so I'm going to say I really liked the story. I thought the actors did a great job in their roles. Martin Scorsese is at the top of his game here. Clearly Netflix just gave him all the money to just be like, be Marty, do it! And he does! And it's fantastic. It's so great to see, and that's why I would encourage anyone, if you can see this in theaters, do it. As I was walking in, I was like, what am I getting myself into? This could be bad. And then I was just sucked right into The Irishman for a good portion of my day. Ass was a little sore. That was, but you'll get that at home too. The Irishman, it's got a good grade because I've been praising it, but also it just really earns it. As I explained earlier, a film should be able to transport you into whatever world it's creating and also make it enjoyable and entertaining for you. This movie just did so much right, like very little wrong. It's not a movie I'm really gonna want to revisit. In fact, I almost never want to watch it again just so I can preserve this cinematic experience. It does deserve all the accolades, and it does deserve a lot of the awards. I could get talking about the awards, but I'll shut up. I'm gonna give The Irishman a 4 out of 5. Again, one of the best of the year. It is impeccably directed, so well acted. Overall, really well put together. Just an incredible production. This deserves your time, all 3.5 hours. It does deserve it, I promise. You probably don't need anyone else to be telling you need to see this film, but I'm gonna say you gotta see this film. Thank you so much for watching this video. I greatly appreciate it. I know this is way too long for anyone with an attention span on YouTube, so thank you. I greatly appreciate it. Feel free to like it if you've made it this far, and subscribe to my channel. I've got all the reviews coming. All of them. One last time, thank you, and I'll see you in my next video.